I remember the day they turned on me. It was my father's birthday, a day that started with laughter and warmth, but ended with barbed words and cold stares. I'd spent years studying the relationship between vermin and ancient plagues, their migration patterns, their behaviors, their uncanny synchrony with human suffering. I had made a name for myself in the field, yet at home, I was still the delusional child chasing shadows. When I presented my findings, the table fell silent, save for the mocking laughter that followed. "Haunted by rats?" my brother sneered, slapping the table. "What a joke! You'll disgrace the family with your paranormal epidemiology. You're going to lose your mind, and we'll all be the ones left to clean up your mess." They didn't understand. They couldn't. My research had begun with a tragedy, a rat infestation at the hospital where I worked. It had spiraled into chaos, leading to a string of deaths linked to an untraceable plague. I had silenced the outbreak, but instead of gratitude, I was blamed for the panic that ensued. My colleagues turned on me, and when I sought to explain what I had discovered, my reputation shattered. I was ostracized, forced to flee into the depths of my obsession. I buried myself in the study of anomalous vermin outbreaks, mapping cursed territories that mirrored ancient cataclysms. I chased whispers of a malevolent intelligence guiding the swarms, a presence lurking just beyond the veil of understanding. In my isolation, I heard the voices of the rats, their skittering claws echoing the secrets of the past. I had become an expert, not just in pestology, but in the dark tapestry of fear woven through history. Years passed, and I returned home, not as the broken dreamer they had mocked, but as a figure cloaked in a chilling recognition. I was no longer a disgrace. I was a warning. I held truths that the world now feared, a legacy of horrors that others dared not acknowledge. My family's laughter had faded into whispers of dread, the weight of their disbelief heavy in the air as I stepped through the threshold of our old home. "Look who's back," my sister said, her voice taut with forced cheerfulness. The warmth of the house felt like a distant memory. I could sense their discomfort, see the shadows of their guilt flicker in their eyes. "I've come to share what I've learned," I said, the words falling heavy in the silence. They shifted uncomfortably, and I could see the doubt lingering like a specter. "You won't believe me," I added, a bitter smile creeping onto my lips. I had brought something with me, a sample from my latest research, a glass vial filled with a murky fluid that pulsed as if alive. I placed it on the table, and the family recoiled. "What is that?" my father demanded, his bravado faltering. "Evidence," I replied, my voice steady, "of an intelligence guiding the swarms, a force that has haunted human history. I need you to understand what I've faced, what I've uncovered." They exchanged glances, but skepticism still clouded their eyes. "You're not serious," my brother scoffed. "This is just another one of your ridiculous experiments." But I was relentless. I began to recount the horrors I had witnessed, the outbreaks that danced on the edge of reality, the whispers of the vermin that echoed ancient plagues. I spoke of the grotesque manifestations, of the spectral shadows. "It's here," I whispered, a shiver racing through me. "It's always watching." Suddenly the vial shattered and the contents spilled across the table. A dark mist rose, swirling like a living thing, and the room filled with the rancid stench of decay. My family screamed, but the sound was swallowed by the howling wind that seemed to materialize from nowhere. "Do you see?" I cried, desperation lacing my voice. "This is what I faced. This is the truth behind the laughter, behind the mockery." Then the shadows coalesced, twisting into grotesque forms that slithered and writhed, echoing the very vermin I had studied. They surrounded my family, their faces twisted in terror as the darkness bore down upon them. I stood apart, the weight of their disbelief crashing down around us, the cost of their ridicule laid bare. "Please," my sister cried, reaching for me, Help us! But I was no longer the child they had belittled. I was the keeper of knowledge, the harbinger of truths they had refused to acknowledge. I felt the chilling satisfaction of vindication wash over me. As the darkness enveloped them, their screams morphed into whispers of regret, and I turned away, leaving them to face the shadows of their own making. The weight of what they had mocked fell upon them like a shroud, a haunting lesson draped in terror. I stepped into the night, the wind howling behind me, carrying the echoes of their fright. I had survived. I had become something else, something powerful and terrifying. The knowledge I now bore was a heavy crown, a reminder that sometimes the shadows we dismiss are the very truths we must confront. I walked away from the house, the darkness swirling around me, grateful for the haunting reminder that they had failed to heed. The world now knew my name, not as a disgrace, but as a warning. And as I ventured back into the unknown, I embraced the shadows that followed, knowing they were mine to command.